Hi, and welcome to Jules Voto's Photo Focus. The focus in this video is on the world's best camera. Does the world's best camera even exist? We're all caught up with best list, right? Rolling Stone does the best albums of all time, the best guitarist. Car magazines will do the best new cars for a particular year, or the best luxury cars or sports cars. We see lists of the best movies, the best singers, actors, actresses, television shows, vacuum cleaners, and the list goes on. And we all want the best, right? We all want the best vacuum cleaner, I guess. We all want the best car. And as photographers, we would all like the best camera. But a lot of that is just personal opinion. I know they do testing to see which vacuum picks up the best and so forth and so on. But, which camera has the highest resolution. But really, what's best for one may not be best for someone else. What camera is best for me, that would work best for me, may not work best for you. It depends on what you're shooting, your style. Do you shoot sports and action? Or are you a landscape photographer? Are you a portrait photographer? So what's best for you will most likely not be best for me, and vice versa. And that applies, you could have 10 photographers in a room and they would all choose a different camera as their best. So I really don't think the best camera exists. For example, let's look at the latest editions from Canon, Nikon, and Sony. The Nikon Z9, the Canon R3, and the Sony A1. All fantastic cameras for action, right? And they do a lot of other things well too. But if you are a professional sports shooter, you're probably going to want one of these cameras, unless you're still working with DSLRs, in which case the Canon 1DX, I don't know, whether they're on the Mark III by now, and the Nikon D6 would probably be your best choice. Again, if you're a professional shooter who earns his or her living shooting professional sports. Okay, you need the very best autofocus. You need a high frame rate. But those cameras may not work for somebody who's a landscape photographer. If you're a landscape photographer, you're going to want something with a high megapixel count, full frame, good dynamic range, with the availability of some good wide angle lenses. It's a very personal choice. So don't feel that you have to have the latest and greatest. The latest and greatest may not be what you need. Are you happy with the results you're getting? Does the camera perform up to the level that you want it to? Or is it comfortable holding it? Is the view through the viewfinder good enough? If you're going to manually focus, does it have those options available that make manual focusing easy? Is there the lens selection that you need? Are the lenses available in the mount of your choice for your particular camera? So those are the important considerations. Is the camera doing the job? Are you able to capture the images that you want to capture? I think one thing that a lot of people overlook, especially today when there's not many camera stores around, there's not many places where you can go and actually handle the camera. And especially in the last year and a half or so with COVID, we did a lot of shopping online. And I think it's important that you actually handle the camera. I always would go to Photo Plus in New York every year. It was always in the fall, where most of the camera manufacturers are there, and you get to try out the latest and greatest cameras and see how they feel. Is it too heavy for you? Or do the controls fall where you want them? I think that's important, because if you're going to be carrying a camera around all day, especially if you're a professional, especially if you're shooting a wedding or you're out hiking, you want something that fits your hands properly and where the controls are easy to access. I think that's really important. And I think a lot of times we get a little too caught up in the specifications and the megapixel count and the number of focusing points. And in a lot of cases, that's not as important as how that camera feels, because you need to be comfortable using it. Another thing I just want to say real quickly is, today with digital, ever since digital came on the scene, cameras are replaced so frequently. Back in the days of film, I'm a long-time Nikon shooter. Every 8 to 10 years, Nikon would come out with a new professional model. Now it seems like it's, every couple years or so. Of course, technology is advancing, sensors are improving, autofocus modules are improving. So we have this constant upgrading. And another thing, if you're shooting a particular brand and the competition comes out with this camera, which you feel is fantastic, think long and hard before switching, because it's an expensive proposition, especially if you have been using a particular brand for a number of years. You've accumulated a lot of lenses and accessories. To make that switch to another brand, which may offer a temporary improvement over your brand, again, is a very expensive proposition. So, and another thing, I think we get caught up. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm rambling here, but there's a lot that I wanted to say. We seem to get caught up in frame rate. 20 frames a second, 30 frames a second. Some cameras now go even much higher at a lower resolution shooting JPEG. Could you imagine if you're shooting at 30, 40, 50 frames a second and you hold your finger down on that shutter release for 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds and do that multiple times during a shoot? I feel sorry for you having to go through all those images. So think about that too. Back in the early days, in the early 60s, motor-driven cameras shot at 4, maybe 5 frames a second, and we thought that was great. It's great. I mean, to have the ability to shoot at that high a frame rate, but think about reviewing those photos and hard drive space, and it's going to take a lot of your time after the shoot to go through those images. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Think about it. Think about what you really need in the camera. And when the latest one comes out, do I really need that camera? Is my current camera doing the job for me? Or will that new camera really improve my photography? And if it does, then take the plunge. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And look for a new video every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.